Oh my God, this is like a piece of art. People are so talented. I just wanted to remind you to please like, subscribe, and hit the notification button. I'm trying to get to 25,000. Did you know? Hi, you guys. How are you? Oh my goodness. I've had a little bit of a cold, but I'm feeling better. So I wanted to do a video for you guys. First of all, I wanted to tell you that I'm doing a live on Tuesday at 6 p.m. East Coast time, 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time this week on November 22nd with Philly.diva to discuss how she felt on being featured in the reunion of The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills season 12. Because she didn't really get a chance to talk about that. I thought it was weird they didn't even include really too much from her other than her response to Diana Jenkins and Diana Jenkins' reaction back on the show. So I thought we should talk about it, do a kiki. And she knows a lot of gossip too. So I was like, this will be fun. Oh, one more thing. So you might have noticed I didn't drop a Real Housewives of Salt Lake City recap episode 8. And I don't know what to say. The show was kind of not getting the popularity that I expected. So I decided to drop a mega gossip show about Salt Lake instead on the podcast. So if you're in the Patreon, you probably noticed that I dropped a lot of tea about Salt Lake City episode 8 and generally Salt Lake City with Up and Adam and Jason, Down with Jason when he does his show. And so I wanted you to know that the gossip that I usually do each week, I put in there because, again, the videos weren't getting that much views. So I'm assuming you guys weren't that into it. So moving on, because I don't want to just do videos for the sake of them. I want you to enjoy them. So Andy Cohen dropped some serious gossip over the weekend. If you've heard it, then you'll enjoy my reaction in this video to what he's saying. And if you haven't, well, then I'm so glad I could help doing the Lord's work. All right, so let me play this for you. So he starts out by saying it's hard to picture RHONY Legacy without Ramona, but then he says all this other stuff. Listen.
I'm so excited about the plan for RHONY that the fact that we're getting an all-new RHONY and then a cast with our old friends, sure, of course it is. Of course it is. But she seems like she's in a place where she's really happy with where she's at. Okay.
So Andy is confirming that Ramona won't be back for Legacy, which the fans are struggling with. Ramona, as he said, doesn't seem to be struggling with it too much. She implied that they weren't paying a lot on this Real Housewives of New York Legacy show, and that wasn't okay for her because being famous, she gives up a lot of stuff, and she wasn't seeing that recouped in the money. She also seemed to say that her relationships with men are affected by the show, and so being famous isn't that great. She could take a time out now. A lot of the fans wondered if this really had to do with all the HR complaints that were filed by Bravo production staff against her, and also, of course, the HR complaint that was filed by Bethenny against her, and maybe that was at the basis of this, NBC just being like, we don't want to deal with this crap at all. It would appear that Andy, though, is in this response trying to make sure he keeps the relationship with Ramona open and clean. He wasn't shady at all, and he was very careful how he spoke. So you guys also know that Lizzie Savetsky left The Real Housewives of New York Reboot, which was shocking to me because, as I mentioned on the show this week, Lizzie Savetsky was the first person cast. She was originally supposed to be in The Real Housewives of Dallas when they were thinking about doing a new, like a cast reboot and continuing that franchise. They didn't end up doing that, but she was being cast in Dallas. And then she ends up going on The Real Housewives of New York reboot and says that she quit due to anti-Semitic statements because the fans automatically out of the gate attacked her for being a Zionist. And so she quit. She was like, I don't need this. Now, I did a deep dive on Lizzie Savetsky, which is coming out in the Patreon, but she was a very interesting housewife. She had a lot more to her than being a devout Zionist. So I was kind of disappointed. She's a recovering alcoholic. She had a really bad stint with that, where she had to really work through that. She also wasn't always a devout Zionist. That's like a new thing in the last few years. So, her strong stance could have been a fun conversation, because if people had done their research on the show, they could have discussed so do you feel like a little bit of a hypocrite that you're being so aggressive about, Judaism, where you weren't that devout before? So all of that would have been really, I think, an intriguing aspect to the new show, but it isn't going to happen, allegedly because she had a fight with Bryn Whitfield. Okay, so what happened with Savetsky? There were tons of rumors flying. Emily Gellis, who's an influencer, I'm sure you guys know who she is. She knows some of the women in New York. I don't think on the show, maybe on the show, maybe off the show, but she's a New Yorker. So she's kind of got it down what's happening in the city. And she was dropping some tea on her Instagram account. She basically said, look, I'm not going to be on Real Housewives of New York. So everybody who's saying, am I a cast member? Emily was like, I am not a cast member, nor am I going to be, was what she basically said. Let me see if I can find it. Oh, I couldn't find that one because Emily did a few. But I did find one where she was like, I can't stand Lizzie Savetsky. Let me play you that one.
But this person is an utter trash bag. I don't say that publicly about people. There's plenty of people that I don't like, but I would never say that. This person is a trash bag. Literally used to be up my ass, texting me, asking me to wear my bags, blah, 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 and saw an opportunity to come up, social climb on the back of somebody else with a lot more money than me, gave comment shitting on me to the New York Times, literally took an opportunity. Imagine knowing somebody for 10 years, that would be me, knowing somebody for 1 year who has a lot more money, and you take an opportunity to put yourself in the New York Times to bash somebody that you've known for so long who's your age just to try and come up. I mean, that is trash. That's it. Trash.
Just saying, I could barely concentrate on what she was saying because I loved her nails so much. I have natural nails, and everyone has all these really cool nails now. Hers look like tie-dye pink things. I loved it. So there was a lot of chitter-chatter around Savetsky's departure and, whether she was fired or she quit. She quit. She definitely quit. It may have been mutual, but she quit. But I have to tell you what I believe the trigger event was, that beyond the fans coming for her. So Savetsky has a show called Bashert on Instagram, and she sets up Jewish singles, okay? And the rumor is that Bryn Whitfield wanted to be set up with a man, and Savetsky, for some reason, declined her being in her dating service. And this set Bryn Whitfield off in a big fight with her, and I guess some really nasty things supposedly were said. This is the rumor on the street as to what the trigger event was of Lizzie going besides the fans, attacking her, which they were, in all fairness. I saw it the second they announced her on Twitter. So, yeah, that's it. Andy Cohen said that we are not going to see her departure play out on the show. And he also added this.
We're not. I will say, I obviously don't condone anti-Semitism in any form. It seems ridiculous to even have to say that in this day and age, but we do, and we have to say it really loudly. And, I tweeted that. I tweeted something about anti-Semitism a few weeks ago, and the responses that I got were enough to alarm me, I have to say.
Crazy.
So I don't think social media is helping bring people together. Let me put it that way.
Yeah. No,
So allegedly, Savetsky didn't shoot that much either, which is strange. She had just started shooting, and I guess not a lot was established. Well, I don't know who the hell's going to bring the drama on this show, because I've done a deep dive of all the women, and the only one that I saw that seemed to be feisty was Sai. And Brynn, although she's kind of an interesting girl, she really likes chess a lot, but her voice really irritates me. So I don't know if I can handle it if she's the one bringing the drama. It sounds like Minnie Mouse. Sorry, I had to. Okay, this is a Thanksgiving filter. Is this getting you in the mood? The other thing I figured out on my deep dives was quite a few of the women are from Texas and Los Angeles and are recent transplants to New York. Huh? How's that a New York show? So Andy has the same go-to move whenever he doesn't want to diss a housewife, but he wants to basically say, I'm not bringing her onto this show. I'm not casting her. But he doesn't want to piss the fans off, and he doesn't want to piss the housewife off because it's a big one. So this is what he said about Bethenny Frankel not joining the legacy show of Real Housewives of New York. The shade is real.
When we announced Legacy at the beginning, I said, look, we're doing this. Listen, she's not really, I don't think, friends with any of the women anymore. I don't think they're not. The great thing that I've loved about the Legacy women is, through the years, is they actually do hang out. When the cameras aren't rolling, they are really in touch. They overlap in each other's lives. Bethenny now lives in Connecticut, and she's just kind of living her best life in her own universe. So I'm not sure, given how she feels about the show at this point, that it even makes any sense.
yeah.
So it's kind of like, I mean, the one thing, if I was the casting person at Bravo, that I would say about the Real Housewives of New York reboot is like, these women have to be real, solid New Yorkers, have to live there at least 8 years in a row for me to cast them, because there's a vibe in New York. You know, I mean, even Andy's diss, like when he said she lives in Connecticut now, like that's, New Yorkers know that's a diss. Why is it a diss? Because yeah, sure, a lot of rich people go to Greenwich and all that, and they have their homes there. But once you leave Manhattan, you know, you're not a New Yorker anymore. You're in the burbs. He goes on to say that the legacy cast is close to being locked in, but not quite. So, I mean, somebody's still not finalized that he's talking to, but what's funny about it is like they really give a crap whether or not that they're all friends. I know he says that it usually makes for better chemistry, and he's right. But the truth is, Bravo never lets them that stop them cast or bring someone in if they want to. So I'd say things are a little rough around the edges in their relationship. You guys, they've had a few falling outs, and I think it's over time, it has damaged things. And Bethenny criticizing her castmates and criticizing the Real Housewives of New York and her time on the show has pissed Andy off. And frankly, when you piss Andy off, you don't get cast again for something. It's just the way he rides. So anyway. Andy Cohen doesn't stop with Bethenny Frankel, though. He gives us some incredible insight on Kathy Hilton. He basically says, if Kathy Hilton tries to ultimatum us about Lisa Rinna, then she's not right for our show. Listen.
Because I feel like, you know, it's being on the Housewives, it's something that everyone who's on the show, I want them to be excited about being on the show and have a level of, you know, a desire to be on the show and feel great about it. And so, you know, we've had this situation before with other housewives who said, look, this isn't my group. I don't want to interact with X person or Y person. And so it's totally their, you know, that's their decision. And, you know, we haven't announced anything.
Boy, Andy Cohen was really struggling to speak in that whole thing. Did you hear him? He's like, blah, 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 because he was scared. He doesn't want to piss Kathy off because she won't come back to the show, and he secretly wants her to come back to the show. But at the same time, he can't be bullied by someone into making casting decisions. Kyle's already said that doesn't fly, with NBC or Bravo. And if you try that, you'll lose every time. They don't care. They'll just say bye. So, but he's also trying to plant a seed with Kathy, like, if you don't want to be on the show, then don't be on the show. But if you do want to be on the show, then we'd love to have you. And that's kind of the thing he's doing. But he's basically warning her in this interview, don't challenge the casting. Don't try to ultimatum us because it doesn't work. Now, he's also dropping a hint here. He's like, we haven't announced anything about casting. So he's trying to say, we're not sure what direction we're going in yet. Nobody is safe, basically. Ready?
And, we haven't announced anything regarding Beverly Hills. And it's kind of a downtime, which is, I think, important between seasons, especially when the season is so volatile. Weeks are always good, but it was a very successful season.
So there you have it, guys. There's going to be only tweaks in the casting. He'd love Kathy to come back, but if she doesn't want to, or she tries to ultimatum production, bye-bye. And Lisa Rinna is not going anywhere. So that's pretty much where we're at with things on the Beverly Hills side. That's the read between the lines on that. So Jen has gone on Up and Adam's show and basically said that she has not been invited to do the after show. She has not been invited to do the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City reunion. And I don't think, from listening to her and from what I've heard, she is going to be invited to join the reunion. I think Andy is only willing to do a one-on-one with Jen Shah, and she confirmed that he hasn't asked her to do that one-on-one. Ooh, there's some tea. His attitude about all this is basically, I think Jen Shah is going to go to jail, and she's going to go to jail for a long time. And I just don't know how I continue a relationship with this cast member given that she's going to jail. So the truth is, Jen Shah's sentencing is on December 15th, but she'll have 3 months to prepare for prison. So if she does get prison time, she won't have to report in until about March 15th. So, I suppose, I don't know if that's a true answer, what he's saying, or if he's just been told by the network, we're done. And I think that's more likely the case, and he's just trying to be sort of political with the fans because he knows that they're upset about it, because obviously they don't want to invest years of watching a person and then have them vanish, a key person. I think it might have to do with advertisers too. Oh my gosh, there's so much to contemplate in this video. Do you think there can be a legacy show without Ramona? Are you excited about that show? Do you think Anthony Cohen is making a mistake by being in a little bit of a tiff with Bethenny over her, bashing the New York show as she has over the years? Or he's right, screw her. Do you guys think it's, enough just tweaks to the cast in Beverly Hills? Is it upsetting to hear his attitude about the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills season 12? And then I guess lastly, do you feel like Jen Shah should be given an opportunity to appear on season 3 reunion, even if Bravo loses advertisers over it, or there's a business reason they aren't wanting it? So that's it, you guys. I can't wait to see you at my live on Tuesday. Happy Thanksgiving.